I honestly don't know where I'd be mentally without music and my writing. These are gifts that God has given me, and I find joy and fulfillment when I put them to use. Here we are. Where to start from? So I'm actually just filming this whole behind the scenes because I don't want to forget the little details about how the song came to be, everything that has happened up till this moment, because I don't want to forget these details. And this is kind of like a video for me to watch later in the future and just be like, I can't believe I forgot those details. Broken is where my music meets my book world, and the two just merge so beautifully. It started off with this book idea I wanted to bring to life, and although it is fiction, it is heavily inspired by my story of how God met me in my brokenness and saved me. The idea for the book came to me in 2021, and I didn't start writing it until the following year, but I'm not going to get too much into the whole book details, but if you're interested in that video, you can go watch the whole story about how it came to be. The idea for the song came to me while I was working on the book the following year in 2022.
Did you write a song?
Did I write a what?
You wrote a song. Caught red-handed. So Hannah is currently listening to my new song, and she's gonna give me her brutal and honest opinion.
For a broken mistake, at the start we missed the red light.
When I wrote the song, I was just getting to know the characters because it was like book one, and it was like an introduction to these characters' lives, and I had no idea who they were because I'm not a plotter, I'm a pantser. And as a pantser, I don't plan every single detail of the book. I just have a wide idea of what the story looks like from start to finish. I wrote the song in the perspective of the female lead, McKenna, from like her story, telling her story, in some way my story as well. But I was just getting to know her and the life she was living. So I didn't fully understand the song that I wrote. And it's so weird because I wrote the song then and it made perfect sense for her, but I just did not feel the extent of the song, like the lyrics, the message, and all of it. The Broken series is a new era of my writing. I've said this many times because Broken, book one, is my 11th novel, and it felt like a new era for me after 10 books of trying to figure out the kind of writer I want to be and finding my voice as a writer. And it wasn't until Broken, book one, that I got to a point where I was like, I have found my voice. I know the kind of books I want to write. I know the type of writer I want to be. And so going into writing Broken, I knew that going forward, I wanted to write a story where God was at the center of all of it. I wanted to write stories after my 10th book that showed the realness and the difference between life with God and life without God. Because I'd walk that road and it felt like I had done like a 180 from not really knowing God to being on the journey of knowing Him. And like myself, my character fell out of love with God because her faith was not hers. Our faith was based on the foundation of our parents' faith, but she did not have a faith to call hers, which was so much my story. And so after falling out of love with God, she goes through a season of brokenness, a season where she's trying to fill the emptiness, the empty void inside of her with things of the world, things that could not fill that, God-sized hole in her. And this song is about her getting into a relationship during that season of brokenness where she's trying to cling on to things to fill that void in her. But the heartbreak she experiences is the final blow for her to encounter God. And this is the turning point in the story. In her story, in my story, is the point where we both said, I can't do this anymore. I need something. I need something more. I need something to hold on to, something firm, something strong, something unwavering. I just need something or someone. And that someone is God.
I just got back from the studio, less than an hour, literally came back all in under an hour. and I'm super excited because we're done recording another song. I cannot believe this. Like, something about recording a song and just prepping it to put it out for you guys and then actually it being out is just one of the best feelings ever. I feel like I was born for this. I was made for this. Like, this is my purpose in life. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I'm so happy.
So I told my sister a while ago that this story feels completely different. Like, I've seen God leading and moving in ways that are just hard to explain for me as a writer. I try to pray before I, start writing a chapter. Sometimes I forget, but I always pray that God should please reveal himself through my words. And I've had countless moments where I've just started writing a chapter and I have an idea in my head of where I want the chapter to go. Once I just blink and I'm done writing the chapter and it's completely different from how I imagined the chapter would go. And I'm sitting there just looking at what I've written and I'm like, I did not write this. And oh, God is so good. And it's been so beautiful. I've been the most blessed, and this book has been the most fulfilling I have ever felt in the past, I don't know what, almost 10 years of writing on Wattpad and a longer time from writing in general. For context, I'm a very forgetful person, and I have my writer's notebook where I literally just write down every single detail about the story, and I have to go through these details before I start writing a chapter just so I don't forget, because it can actually lead to me having a plot hole later in the story. So this is how I've seen God work in the story. So there are moments while starting this book where while I was writing, an idea would just come to mind and I'd be like, oh, it can't hurt to add that to the story, and I'd proceed to add it, and that would be that. And I'd completely forget that, I added that detail. And then later in the story, like months after I've added that detail, maybe 10, 15 chapters into the story, that detail would come back up in my head and I would see the perfect moment in the story to connect the dot. And it just fit so perfectly, like two puzzle pieces that were made to sit together. And I would be like, I did not plan this. Like, I did not plan this. Like, I planned the entire story with God, thank God. But these two pieces are more than I can do as a writer. And I'd be in awe of God. I just sit down there, just being like, what just happened? This is insane. All of these details that I've added, they weren't details that I planned to add at the start, but now that I've added them and years after I've written book one, it just feels like all of those tiny details that I did not plan are just coming together and forming like a segue leading into the future of the story. I have written 10 novels and never, ever have I experienced this. I just feel so blessed. And Broken is one of those tiny pieces. Broken is one of those tiny details that I didn't plan on having, but it just happened. I remember that year I just started the story and the song just came to my head and I was like, I don't know if I'll have the chance to record this. Last year, 2024, I was so blessed to be able to get into the studio sometime in September to record the song. And so I started singing the song again just to, get it perfected before hitting the studio. And I remember I did not understand when I wrote the song, but now that I'm years into knowing these characters, now that I'm so close to experiencing, to this chapter of the story that this song describes, it fits so perfectly. It encapsulates the feelings and the moment of when this actually happens and the story that has been building all the while. It's like this song is just a representation of the entire situation. And I just sat down there like, poof. You are amazing. You are incredible. You are God. You are awesome. Because God is good like that. God is just Like, you never plan for things to happen, but when he makes them happen, you cannot help but just be in awe of him because it's so good. It's like you cannot deny that it is God's hand in it, and it has hit me so many times, kind of like a sucker punch, but like in a subtle way. It hits me so hard, but it's still soft. I don't know if that makes sense.
The green filter thing is actually pretty cool. Like, I just couldn't let this go to waste because it's a pretty spot, right?
Getting into songwriting, getting into writing books, I always knew I wanted everything that I did to inspire people. And those two things, music and my writing, they just felt like two incredibly heavy and big dreams of mine that I did not know how to pursue, and I did not know how to bring to life in a way that, you know, inspires people. And now that I'm getting to see God in both of these things, I feel so much joy and so fulfilled. But now more than ever, I've also felt the enemy try to, you know, fight me on it. Without getting into so much details, I'm just gonna say that early this year, I kind of struggled getting back to writing. Like, I felt like I was constantly worn out and exhausted every time I sat down to write a chapter. Like, I did not feel that eagerness, the zeal, and I started to doubt myself as a writer. Like, I'm supposed to be a writer, but I don't have that joy and that love for it anymore. And I had to battle the devil on it. I had to ask God to come into it because this is a gift he has given me. I should treat it like a gift. And I remember going on a prayer walk and just talking to the Holy Spirit, and I felt him tell me, don't write because you feel like it or you don't feel like it. Write to give God the glory. And I started little by little. Chapter after chapter, I just felt that energy start to come out, and now it just feels like I'm back to loving what I do, loving what I write, and I'm just like, if the enemy is trying to stop me from writing, then this is all the more, you know, reason to keep writing, even when I don't feel like it, even at moments where I'm like exhausted. The part I love about this song, Broken, is that it's not the end of something, but you kind of get that question of, tell me. It's kind of leaving an open-ended question where it's like, would it or would it not? Like, where are we at this point? And it feels like a super sad song, and I will give you that. When I wrote the song 3 years ago now, it was a really sad song. It's a song about heartbreak. And now that I've had this, you know, all of this revelation and actually sitting down to understand, you know, the depth of this song, I've realized that it is the end of something. But what makes it so beautiful is that it's also the beginning of something. It's the end of McKenna's relationship with a love interest, but it's the beginning of her relationship with God, because is that moment where she's like, I've hit rock bottom, I can do this on my own, and then she finds God. And so that's why this song is, when I listen to it, it's kind of me wrestling with that, you know, sad and happy feeling of that losing a love interest, but finding God, which is far greater, like you can't even compare, but is like on top. That's another reason I'm sharing this with you, because it feels like our relationship with God is kind of like that. Like at moments, at seasons in our life where it feels like it's the end of something and we're mourning that loss. Whether it's a heartbreak from losing a love interest or a family or a friend, or a heartbreak over losing a job you loved so much, you're mourning that, but we also have to remember that it's God redirecting us and making room for something new, something we don't see yet, something we don't know yet. And that something is far more greater than that thing we lost. And yeah, so that is pretty much it. We're wrapped up this Broken.
Tell me, we can get past it, figure it out. At the start we missed the red light, walked into the darkness.